The first time I ever heard this piece was the Ulster Youth Orchestra playing it, and I wasn't in the orchestra, I just went to a concert. I was just sort of blown away by the strength of the piece. And then since then it's become a sort of staple of my repertoire, especially as a guest conductor, because orchestras have never played it before. And it really, despite being an unknown piece, is an idiom, as with all Elgar, that orchestras can understand straight away. Because Elgar was really rooted in the continental tradition. I mean, German music, Brahms, and French music, Berlioz and Franck, in terms of his orchestration, were really his lingua franca. So it's always very interesting to see an orchestra that doesn't know the piece, understanding the style actually very quickly. The piece tells a really interesting story. Elgar was on holiday in 1903, but he was trying to write a symphony, and he didn't feel like he could really take himself seriously as a composer until he did that. So he took himself away from England, his wife, and he went to the Italian Riviera, to a town called Alassio. He was able to find the peace and quiet in long walks in the Italian countryside that he needed to find inspiration. There are lots of programmatic elements to the piece. There's a ferocious passage after the beginning in which a very kind of brutal melody is hammered out over and over and over again in the brass. And the music seems sort of almost obsessively repetitive. And this was an inspiration from the Roman remains in the area around where he was staying. You know, the Romans would build roads in a straight line, and it didn't matter if that happened to be through a village or through a forest or decimating whatever community was there, they just built in a straight line. Then there's a very beautiful middle section for harp and very high strings and a solo viola. This is a very tender middle section. You can imagine the sounds of hummingbirds or of nature around you on a warm summer's evening. And then this wonderfully optimistic and heroic music that began the overture comes back. And it's a tremendously exciting way to end a concert because there's simply so much energy, there's so much bravura, there's so much joy, that it's an exciting way to bring a long journey to an end.